welcome to another Slowing Down with the Scriptures. I'm Chris Matley. Thanks for joining me. At the end of this 6-minute video or so, I'm going to tell you who you should vote for in this upcoming election, so that'll be really exciting. Stay tuned for that. But first, I want to talk to you about a word, and that word is authority. Authority. So this word authority carries with it all kinds of connotations and implications for how we live, how we treat one another, how we build community and society around us, and ultimately how we choose who governs us, who we vote for, who governs in national and state and local elections. And I want to look at this word authority through the lens of an ancient story that's found at the beginning of the Hebrew Scriptures in the book of Genesis. It's the creation account. And this account of creation carries with it some very fundamental philosophical and theological truths. Now, it's easy to miss some of these truths by focusing on the details, right? The 6 days and the snake and the garden and all of those things. But if you look past some of those details, what you see is a God who created the universe, and as a part and a process of that creation, he distributes some measure of his own authority throughout that universe. It begins symbolically with him hanging the stars and the sun and the moon in the sky, and then he distributes to these gravitational masters the authority to mark and govern the separation of light and dark and the passage of time. And it culminates with the creation of his most special creatures, human beings. And he distributes to human beings the authority to rule and to steward and to garden this wonderful earth. At the end of this story is a summation. And a part of this summation is this phrase, "And thus were finished the skies and the land and all of their hosts." So he refers to these partners with him in creation, these carriers of some measure of his authority, as hosts. Now, this would be important later to the ancient Hebrew people as their poets and their prophets began to refer to God by different names representing his characteristics. And one of those names was God, Lord of Sabaoth. That's a Hebrew word which means hosts of heaven. It's a reminder to his people that while God created partnerships with us and distributed some measure of his authority, ultimately he retains all authority over the universe. So this word authority, what is it exactly? Well, let's look forward into Matthew chapter 28. This is the very end of the gospel account of Matthew, where Jesus has some parting words for his friends. We call these parting words the Great Commission because it's where Jesus commissioned his followers to go out in the world and share his story with others. And Jesus finishes these parting words by saying this: "All authority has been given to me in heaven and in earth." So it's a neat little bookend to God's story and his interaction with people, from creation to Jesus' final words to his followers. And it's Jesus' way of kind of connecting the whole story together and reminding us that the authority that we have, that we carry, is borrowed, it's lent to us from the ultimate authority. So what does this tell us? What should we draw from this? Well, one important facet of this statement of Jesus is the word authority used there is a Greek word, exousia. Exousia is a Greek word which means delegated power and the right to use it. Now, that's a different way of thinking about authority, isn't it? Delegated power and the right to use it. You know, I'm a father of 3 children. Society says that I have authority over their lives for a particular amount of time. It's been lent to me, it's been given to me, and I exercise that authority in parenting them. But I won't always. They'll grow, they'll become adults, and if I do it well, they'll take on a measure of their own authority. They'll take authority of their own lives. It's a privilege, isn't it? It's a privilege, and if I do it poorly, that privilege will be taken from me, and rightfully so. This privilege is given, and it can be taken away. And this privilege, this power, is less about me inflicting my desires on others with less power and more about me watching over and protecting. It's about me applying structure that leads to flourishing. It's about assisting in the continuing dispersal of authority. One common feature that is found among strong authoritarian leaders throughout human history is a tendency to gather power, to grab power, to take power from those with less power and to add it to their own. I think there's a common misunderstanding of the verse that's found in Romans chapter 13 when Christians talk about leaders that are in power in government. It says that there's this verse that Paul writes that the powers that be are ordained by God. And I think the proper understanding of this idea of authority shows us that it's not that God placed a particular leader in place and therefore he's due all of our respect. It's that if there's any power or any authority in any individual in the universe, it's because God lent that authority out into this universe. And it's a privilege that we should carry at any measure. So what do we do with that privilege? Well, the right application of authority leads to individuals who have some power improving and empowering everyone within their sphere of influence, distributing their power in the process. In effect, giving it away. This is what Jesus modeled to us. So who should we vote for? That's kind of the question, isn't it? Who should we vote for? Well, if you want to live the principles of Jesus that are found in this story that I just shared, then I would submit that you should vote for candidates who use their platform not simply to benefit you and people that look like you and think like you, but to cause the most amount of flourishing with their power, and those with the least amount of power to do it for themselves. But that's just my humble opinion. Hey, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.